Welcome to Credit Exchange, the weekly podcast where we speak to the biggest newsmakers and news shapers in finance. I'm your host, Lisa Lee. This week, we're in Rome, and my guest is Jonathan Fascitelli, founder and CEO of Seregh, a sports and entertainment real estate development company. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hi, Lisa. Good to be here.
Thank you so much for being here and being on the podcast.
My pleasure.
We're in Rome at the FII Institute Summit. Tell me, why are you here and what has it been like?
I'm definitely here for the food. The food in Rome was incredible.
That is true. The eyebrows gained so much weight. So, Jonathan, tell me about your company because I think it's fascinating and it's so unique what you're doing. Mixed-use development, real estate development around stadiums and arenas.
So the company Seregh was a spin out of Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, where I have been the CEO and founder of the development company within that holding company. And basically there I was building the arenas, the stadiums, and the mixed use around it. And I saw a bigger opportunity to offer those capabilities as well as the opportunity to deploy capital into the space to help team owners, to help sovereigns, either build new sports infrastructure or revitalize old sports infrastructure, and in doing so, building communities around it.
So what do you mean by stadium and arenas for our audience? Do you mean places like Wembley? Do you mean places like Dodger Stadium? Can you explain a little bit what kind of arenas and stadiums you're looking at? Not per se what you're investing right now, but just give a broader outlet.
Of course. So across the United States and Europe, we're looking at arenas and stadiums in most major cities. And
All sports?
All sports.
Football, basketball, baseball.
Hockey, etc. So all the majors. So both footballs.
Both, but
Europeans, Smalls, America. And then across the MENA region, Indonesia, we're looking at developing new sports infrastructure because there the infrastructure's never been before, and so we're working with sovereigns to see new stadiums, new arenas rise, and then we'll also tangentially look with our partners at content distribution, so that there's enough to go into the stadium.
So tell me, we're talking about these major stadiums and arenas around the globe. What do you want to develop around it, and what's the pieces behind these developments?
So we want to build residential, retail, office, etc. The thesis is that people like to go to sporting events, and they like to go and see concerts and fights and other content. And when we look at the world, we look at the rise in AI, and we look at the over-index of capital towards AI, and we look into our crystal ball. There's a lot we don't know.
Yeah.
But what we do know is that people want a place, a sense of belonging, to be part of a community. And sportsmen, entertainment represent that. I think in an AI world where presumably productivity will increase, where people have more free time, we've had a disposable time, people need something to do. They're going to need a sense of purpose. When you attend a sporting match and your team wins and the community roars, everyone's excited.
I spent a lot of my adult life in New York, and I missed being part of the Knicks celebration.
Oh my God. So I happened to be in the Middle East at the time. I missed it. I missed it too, but I watched the videos and I heard reports from the way the city rose and the energy. It was just incredible. And that's what sports does. And so lately, what you see is people coming earlier so they could go to the restaurants, and then you see them staying later so they could go a nightcap. But as that restaurant and that retail infrastructure helps out, people want to live around it. So you see residences rising, and then as people live there, they want to work there. You see office. As people are coming in from out of town, you see the hotels, and so you have the makings of a small city around a stadium. And when we look at your crystal ball and we see how people are embracing these properties, we're prepared to the future. We're thinking about what should social infrastructure look like? What will appeal to the community? What will appeal to the sovereign? And so they look at building these communities around these values.
One of the topics at the FII Priority Summit in Rome has been artificial intelligence. And I think there's like the sense that sports is one of the things that won't be disrupted. That if anything, it's going to be all embraced because people are going to want something tangible. And it's something you can't replicate on AI, that immediate expect. So was this in your thought when you started this work?
Well, so we were seeing the desire to become earlier and stay later. We were seeing how that fed off of it. I think the pace of change just continues to increase exponentially, and so with that, our thesis, while it remains the same, continues to be reinforced
By AI in the development stage.
Exactly. And so if you're over index AI, the next wave of investment is going to be on what the derivatives of that are. And so sports falls into what we call experiential, because that's a broader context that captures multiple categories. And experiential is a place where capital needs to be deployed and where there's opportunity.
So I was surprised to hear that your firm has only been around for 18 months. Congratulations. Sorry for having so much business because you had such a rich pipeline. So tell me the genesis and the origin of starting a firm. I think that's always intrigued to stick to founders and your relatively new ones.
Both. Thank you. I appreciate that. And we're really excited about the progress today. I think the first foremost step with seeing an opportunity so clearly, right?
Right. So in your old firm, you were doing the stadium and arena development.
Yeah. So we were working with the Philadelphia 76ers, the New Jersey Devils, the Washington Commanders, and other teams in the portfolio. And as we were building these projects and developing them, we talked a lot with other team owners in the industry about what they were doing, what they were thinking about, et cetera. And it became very clear very quickly that most teams aren't real estate developers, and that there needed to be a solution that could cater to those teams, and that was the original genesis. I think the other thing that was observed was that wow, a number of owners have the means and the wherewithal to make investments. A lot of that wealth is already concentrated in the team and in the venue itself, and it's about a concentration for one area. And so when looking at the potential opportunity around these venues, which can be big and dramatic, our typical project size is somewhere between 3 and 5 billion, but we have projects upwards of 15. That's a big additional financial commitment. So when you take the complexity of development, and then you take the size of the project that it could support, and then you take the capital that's necessary, you shake it all up and you add it, and then you take North America, then you take Europe, and then you look at MENA and Asia. The market for the opportunities that size around $1 trillion of need.
And there are very few firms, yours included, providing this aid. Right? It seems like a new opportunity that's just starting out.
Yes, it's a new opportunity, and while at its core it's real estate, we call it effectively almost a new asset class in and of itself. And so there's incredible excitement around it, investing in sports teams.
Yes, everyone's curious.
Physics, derivatives of it, etc. And we say that one of the last frontiers of the alpha is in the sports and entertainment related real estate.
And one of you're the founder, but one of your investors is Apollo's Josh Herrick's, right? For when he worked with you in the last firm, and now he's with you in here. Who else have you gotten traction with?
Yeah, so I call it the spin, which the bouncing from country to country, sovereign to sovereign around the world on the regular. But we've got a broad scale adoption around the world, and so Yes, I was very fortunate to work for Josh Harris and David Blitzer in their personal holding company, which was Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment. And then in the spin out, was fortunate for them, as well as CAA, the global creative agency, as well as Delaware Books, one of the, as well as Delaware North, one of uh, uh, a conveyor of food and beverage, as well as the owner of the Boston Bruins, Boston Gardens, and a few others to come in early to support the business in its early phases. And now what we find is with the appointment of leadership both in the Middle East as well as in the Asia, that we have projects in all the regions, and we have capital partners in the regions as we curate capital that we can deploy against our own projects, but then also can allocate to other projects.
So you have about a $35 billion pipeline?
More.
Oh, more than that. So tell me, I know you said you can't mention exact investments yet, later, but can you explain sort of the broad scope, what your pipeline looks like and where they are? Korea, Japan, US,
Absolutely.
Europe.
Absolutely. So the composition of our portfolio will be 50% in the United States, 10% in Europe, and then 40% for MENA and Asia. We currently have ongoing projects on the East Coast, in the Midwest, and on the West Coast of the United States, double-digit billions. We have in Europe, we've identified opportunities that we are exploring and that we are in a very advanced stage on a handful of projects in MENA and in Asia, across Japan, Korea, Singapore, and then in the early stages of Australia. We are thinking about India and also Africa.
Is there a certain one sport that's adopting this faster than others? Say, American soccer, American football, or European football, or maybe the basketball teams. Any one sport, or are they all sort of coming along?
I think it's less which sports adopting and more the nature of the facility. So if a facility is covered, okay, so that could be a stadium with a roof, so think SoFi, or an arena that's fully enclosed, they allow more events. Less weather pendants, and as a result, higher show count. And the reason why show count is important is because it translates into foot traffic, and then foot traffic translates into people eating at the restaurants, people choosing to convert to live there, which leads to it's the cycle, so to speak. It so venues that drive frequency of attendance can be deemed kind of more interesting. However, if you take a European football stadium, the sheer size of it brings you up a flash of large numbers, and then if you complement it with smaller music venues, other experience review program, you create a culture for the district. You give people reasons to continue to come, attend, live, work,
Once you have restaurants, then you have residential buildings that even people who might not be interested in attending that sport might just find that area interesting and nice to live, and then office it. Is that sort of the proposition?
It is, and like Wembley is a great example on subfronts, and also an example of the opportunity set on others. So on one end, the ecosystem that was created is great. Okay. When the stadium was built, the land was sold separately for an incredibly low price. So depending upon which side of the trade you're on, some would argue opportunity, others would argue miss. And then finally the capital structure today full open upside down.
Yeah, I had friends who I traveled around the globe last year to take the kids to Taylor Swift concerts, and they needed to stay in hotels, and they needed to eat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they would look at real economic drivers. Not only are they economic drivers, but they're a real opportunity for the teams to participate in the success and the upside. So team valuation was all-time high. Media rights, all-time high. The question of which way did it go? And when you're looking at the next opportunity for revenue, the proposition is certainly run around the bending. So transitioning a bit for us, thinking of capital structure, we provide an equity solution, and then today, based upon your name, we're talking about the debt solution too. And so, these projects are incredibly complex, incredibly sophisticated, and require a tremendous amount of expertise.
And that's what I was going to ask you. It makes sense, but there must be some that capital's finite, you don't have infinite amount of money to spend. How do you choose which developments you will focus on around the globe? What's your underwriting process? How do you make those decisions? How do you decide what is an equity investment and what is a debt investment?
That's a great question. So all venues, stadiums, and markets are not created equal.
It's not right.
You need a favorable macro environment, which means your basics, population, economic growth, economic driver. There's a rising affluent middle class, basic underpinnings for kind of moderate scale development and also just generally growth. So that's certainly a great criteria. Now, some of the flip side to that is you can use experiential real estate and the real estate as an anchor to create and drive some of that. So we use as economic stimulus. But we're looking at the environment in which it's in. We're looking at how big the market is. We're looking at the events. We're looking at how much land is available. We're looking at what can come in. We're looking at the community needs. Then we're looking at the city, state, or opera the needs as well. Because at the end of the day, with the scale of projects we're talking about, it's really a public-private partnership, and so you need alignment. You need alignment from multiple states.
So you would need the government, the municipality, and also the owners, everyone getting together to want to do this, because it'll be just too hard.
Takes a village to build it.
That's a great point. So on the equity and debt, do you look at this as a project finance, and then how do you apportion like how much debt or how much equity a project can take?
So it's definitely a complex capital structure. We're talking about a mixed-use project. So historically, folks have played either in residential or commercial or retail or hospitality, all different sizes of lighting house. That's one. Then two, you're talking about construction and ads, where you need to build it.
Yeah, it's take decades to build something like that.
And it's super complex too. So you need hardware capability. You need in-house construction capabilities. You need real experience underwriting, and you need real execution capability. So when we think about the stack, we're thinking about debt to go 50 to 60%. We are now prepared to write mezz and pref to kind of fill it that 80%, and then that remaining 20 can be a mixture of equity and, in some cases, public-private partnership funding. And so that capital stack also has duration.
What is the duration? What are the yields that you would ask for something?
Yeah, so
a risky deal.
The good news is the risk can be mitigated more so than a regular way development project.
How?
Through the public-private partnership, there's alignment of interests, and so you have to think about where the basis is in land. You have to think about if there's other contributions for public infrastructure and things of that sort. So you're kind of mixing the cocktail. The flip side to that cocktail is the real true economic benefits. So we're thinking about thousands and thousands of job creation, and we're talking about billions in tax revenue and economic output. And so you're creating a win for everyone in that process. But again, really complex, high degree of sophistication. Another market that doesn't properly exist or function yet. There aren't a lot of places to go to get full construction, then to get stretch and baths around these type of projects because of the mix of uses, because of the construction risk, etc. And so because we have this apparatus, it's a global footprint, because we have the capabilities, because we have the development capabilities to step in, etc. We can provide a solution that the market cannot. And so for institution, we've proven that we could be a good partner and steward of capital in the space. And so when you're looking at $1 trillion market, limit need for equity and debt, we can meet both.
So you do investments and development. How do you decide when you're going to invest in something and when you're going to develop something? So there must be a very different mindset that you enter both with. Right?
Oh, that's a good question. So we first and foremost we look at the project as a whole, and we build our performance and forecast to make sure that the project as a whole to be successful. We can be the equity and the debt and both too. We got to structure a way to manage kind of the conflicts and things and that sort that our partners have source of capital at. So that's good. It gives us a broader toolkit to work with. And then as we think about the development, our preference is to be the developer first. We have the capability, skill set to deliver this type of bespoke solution. However, we're very partnership friendly too, and to the extent that other people are working on like style projects or plans of, we can be partner. We work with the capital, and then if it's a project where we're not a co-developer, we may lean early on more towards the credit side, and especially if it's a newer partner, just because it gives us some security, comfort around the complexity, but we'll still stand there as a partner to provide development insight, capability, etc.
So I would imagine you're traveling around the world. You have to go to the stadium, so you get not a festival and football tickets.
Yeah, so it's the perks of the industry, so to speak. I'm a big consumer myself.
So with sports,
I have it on.
that'll be like the neutral say everything. Come on.
I mean, honestly, I know hockey is definitely and less ability to the international crowd, though that's changing. Yeah, which is exciting, but hockey's first and foremost for us. It's action, and it's also what kids like, and play, and so as a family, we've just really gotten drawn. But all the major food groups within the United States, I've definitely become a much more avid European football fan at that. And then,
Did you have sort of start with PSG early in your career?
it's true. So yes, I started my career at Comedy Capital, and I owe a lot to Tom Merritt, the founder, who opened my eyes to a world that early on when County did the investment at PSG, there was a piece about the real estate as well.
Oh, really? We want that cake back then.
Yeah, well,
The best in the world have.
they certainly are now, and they have great ownership. But I'd say the sport that I've really gotten into is it now newly into is F1.
Oh, yes, they were talking about it here in Rome too. That is exciting. Everyone seems to love F1. So what do you like about it, and what is the investment thesis around F1?
So I like the globalization of that. Uh, I lo- I love how they entered the United States and what they've done with that. And it's really become a play. It's similar to FII in regards where it brings community leaders, global leaders, investors, all people from all different walks of life, and so it's not only a sporting event, but it's a place to share ideas and meet good people, and it's fundamentally a community builder, and ties back to the thesis experience that was by doing amenity.
So this seems like the business model for you is to build a community, the effervescence that we talked about earlier, that when people come together. What was the word you used?
There's collective effervescence.
I love that.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I can't take credit for it. I wish I could.
But you're using it.
So it was coined in 1912, and yes, it speaks to that shared moment when everyone experiences the same thing at the same time, and how that effectuates the bond. So when you think about the Knicks,
Yeah.
I won.
So I missed the Knicks, but I live in Angel in Islington in London, and the Arsenal, we won the Premier League, and there was a shared effervescence watching the team go by. So I'm going to ask two last questions before I let you go. You were so generous with your time, and I look fascinated to hear what you're doing. What's the hardest thing about your jobs? I know founding a company and starting a new asset class isn't easy.
It's changing time zones while working on all of them at the same time, but it's also the most smart part of my job too.
Well, that was giving me my next question. What's the most exciting thing about founding a firm and actually doing something that's so real?
Look, the SpaceX IPO was so interesting on so many fronts. One of the things that I find most acute is the concept of the rocket going up and then coming back down in a 45-minute period of time. Because what that means is that in 45 minutes, when and if, I think it's more a question of when and if, when that is commercialized, we're just going to be global citizens. We're going to be able to be anywhere at any time. And I do that today at the expense of bodies, sleep, and whatnot, but to be able to do it in 45 minutes. So the connectivity is only going to increase.
Oh, that's nice.
So our plan is to build 30 of these communities around the world, and then we invested heavily into data and technology. We actually acquired a platform last year, so we're leveraging data to make decisions, and we're integrating data to how we design a program, and then how we speak to the fans and people in our environments, so that we can take a one-to-many model of communication and almost make it a one-to-one through the intelligence. So we could put a customized living experience. And so when you take that 45 minutes to anywhere, and you take that global citizen concept, and then you layer out a community, we're creating, we're place making, we're creating places where people want to be, and then we'll be able to give up the opportunity, and we'll have shared with them also maintain local cultural engagements. We'll share experiences locally, but in a physical network, a physical manifestation of the digital life. And so we're excited about that. And fundamentally, that's our driver. But then on the flip side, we're building out the best capabilities globally and positioned to be a steward of capital, where we can deliver incredible risk-adjusted returns globally across the capital stack for our investors and our partners to enable these projects to flourish.
Well, it's gotta make some economic sense for it to maybe take off, doesn't it?
Exactly, and so we're excited about our partners to date, and we continue to feel new ones, and takes a village to build a village in every aspect at the project level, but also to see the global vision through it. One of the reasons why I'm so appreciative of being able to speak to you and also to your audience to kind of share what we're doing.
I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated to see where you go, and I'm fascinated to see when you're ready to which firms and which arenas and which stadiums you're building this at. Thank you so much for joining me in Rome too. Thank you. And to our audience, thank you for joining us for a special edition of Credit Exchange. Please follow us on Apple, Spotify, and now we're on YouTube. Till next time, this is Lisa Lee.